So now let's take a look at the changes for Laura and for FANG, and both of them got some pretty cool change. Laura actually got some cool buffs. The buffs are to her light punch bolt, heavy punch bolt, and EX punch bolt. And they are easier to use in juggles now. And let me show you what this means in practical terms. Obviously in the guide I said that you can do a light punch bolt and then throw your opponent. Let's say for example that they are trying to jump backwards. So let's take a look at a situation like that one. Right? They are trying to jump backwards, and one of the ways to option select or to check against this was using the EX bolt, right? This was, you were able to check them trying to walk back or jump back. Now Laura actually gets to juggle a heavy punch bolt here. So this is a pretty big buff in my opinion. Should be pretty helpful for the character. Mid screen you can actually get the light punch, but the heavy punch will work in the corner. So this is a pretty cool buff for Laura, and obviously there are other combos where these might actually be useful. But like as far as practical situations, this is the most practical situation I have seen for this change. The other changes are to her V skill too. They buffed the initial hit so that it is easier to use after an EX thunderclap. So this is more likely to connect now. So that is a pretty cool change. And the other one is to her spike, or like the fireball out of it. And these two changes combined make it so that in the corner you can juggle after an EX thunderclap into this and then follow with a heavy punch bolt. So for example, now in the corner you get this now, which again is a good damage buff to Laura and should be practical because obviously this is a very practical combo to land, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool combo. Overall, Laura actually got some pretty cool buffs in my opinion. Nothing too major, like none of these, it's not like, oh my god, oh no, Laura got buffed, say what? It's nothing that big, but it's just like some situational buffs that might be useful in some unique situation in a way. Now the other change is to FANG, and FANG got two changes. They are kind of small in all honesty. The first one is that the Ryu Benda, the Cloud, this will now clash easier with Fireball. I heard, I honestly haven't seen it because I don't play either of these characters, but I knew that he had some issues versus specific Fireballs, where the Ryu Benda was not clashing. I think it was Ed, if I remember correctly. But I honestly, I can't tell you with 100% confidence because I wasn't a FANG player. So now it appears to be consistent against everyone, so that is good. The other change is to his Sotosha. Sotosha is like his light punch, dash punch, and they increased the hitbox on that. It's a small change, but it's welcome. Changes that make the character work and become more consistent overall. So now let's check out the balance changes to Blanka and Ibuki. Blanka got changed in interesting ways. The first one is that his crouching heavy punch, this is actually a crush counter, and when it crush counters the opponent, they don't fly backwards as much, right? This is pretty good because now he can double dash and be +3, and in throw range and in range in general to apply pressure, so that's a pretty cool buff. The other one is that his ground shave rolling, which is like the V-Trigger 1 move, this have better upwards hitbox. These two changes combined make it so that this now is a very consistent link, right? This is something that you can land every time, even from maximum range. So that is pretty good. It's something that will help him in the neutral in my opinion. The other change is to his electricity. Pretty much what they did is that now the electricity special in V-Trigger 1, he gets better juggle out of it. So he pretty much can do that into sweep now. If I don't fail it 10,000 times. This is now a juggle. Obviously it is incredibly tight anyway, so it is a pretty difficult juggle, but it is now possible. And the final change is to his critical art. It will have a higher hitbox when being cancelled into. This is pretty much to help with this, just to make this a little bit more consistent. So he hits upward a little bit more, so when you are cancelling into it from the V-Trigger 1 special, it's gonna be a lot more consistent, and that is a good quality of life change. Nothing really too dramatic for Blanka, but some consistency changes here and there. Ibuki is also kind of the same thing, nothing too dramatic on Ibuki, and her changes are pretty much mild in my opinion. The first one is that the bomb is gonna be +3 on block instead of +2. So when she throws the bomb like that, it's gonna be +3 instead of +2. I do think this means that she can kind of frame trap better after it, will make it harder to V-shift and all. So maybe, for example, let's check it out. So maybe you can frame trap them now or jail them or something like that, and that could be very useful. Honestly, I'm not really sure how practical this will be, but you know, being more plus on block is always good. It never hurt anyone. And the other change is to her V skill 2. This now builds more V gauge. Again, nothing really that significant. It went from like 40 to 60, so it's not that big of a deal. Obviously, Ibuki have really good V triggers, and they want to make her V trigger building a little bit better, but again, this is like very minor changes. The other characters did not really receive anything significant. Alex is a bug fix, Rashid is a bug fix, Birdie is a bug fix, Vega is also bug fixes. So no one really got anything that substantial, and this is pretty much it for the balance patch. Some characters obviously got big changes. I think Nash, Ken, and Lucia are the biggest winners. Abigail and Zangief are probably the biggest losers. I would say Zangief is the biggest loser in all honesty. The Zangief nerf is very drastic. Cammy change, I don't really is gonna change that much, to be honest. Like, in all honesty, because she's still like, yes, they are worse on whiff, but it's like it's a good Cammy player will not whiff the dive kick to begin with, and the V trigger dive kick, they are pretty hard to V shift. She can delay him, so I don't think it's as dramatic as you might guys think. Obviously, the EX spiral arrow, this one is a little bit more dramatic, but otherwise I think Cammy is still gonna be a very strong character when all is said and done. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment, it helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon page and the Discord server page in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.